There are moments in life when we realize that age doesn't protect us from anything and that even the strongest can be broken. Have you ever felt that instant when the body fails? Loneliness weighs heavily, and the silence of the house seems too great. Helen, a 72-year-old Canadian woman, knew this silence well, but what she didn't know is that God was about to prove, once again, that He never abandons His own. Even when everything seems lost, even when no one is watching. And perhaps this story is the sign you need today. Helen has always been a woman of faith. She lived in a small town in rural Canada, surrounded by long winters and quiet streets. After she became a widow, a house that was once full of laughter became a place of echoes. The days are too long and the nights too cold. But every morning, before putting her feet on the ground, she repeated the same prayer: Lord, You are my strength. You are my sustenance. Do not let me walk in silence. It was her way of. Remember that, even as you grow older, God remains by your side. But that winter, something changed. Helen began to feel strange pains, unusual fatigue, and a weakness that didn't match the strong spirit she had always had. She went to the doctor, the tests were done, and she heard that phrase that cuts to anyone's heart: "We are concerned. We need to investigate." Further, she left there, with a tight chest. The fear she hadn't felt in years returned with full force. But still, she maintained her daily prayer. The following days were difficult. Every morning, getting out of bed became a challenge. Walking to the design kitchen was strenuous, and the cold that came from outside now seemed to live inside her. Even so, Helen maintained her faith. She opened the Bible more times a week than in the entire month. She cried silently some nights, but always ended by saying, "If the Lord is for me, nothing can be against me." Until, one Sunday afternoon, everything happened. Helen was alone. The wind was beating strongly against the windows, and snow was piling up at the front door. She tried to lift the armchair, but her legs wouldn't respond. She felt a deep dizziness, her heart racing, and she fell to the floor. I tried to call for help, but no one heard. The phone was too far away. The door was locked, and the whole house was immersed in a silence that seemed endless. There, lying on the floor, Helen felt something she never felt so strongly. The sensation that her body was giving up, but her soul wasn't. And with a weak voice, almost without strength, she said, "Father, if you still have a purpose for me, send a sign. Don't leave me here alone. I trust in you." And then she closed her eyes. But God is not late. God doesn't age at the exact minute. At that very moment, outside, a neighbor named Michael, someone who had recently passed by at that time, was walking down the street to pick up overdue mail. He later said he felt something unusual, a restlessness, as if something were pulling him forward. Go into Helen's house was the unexpected thought that came to his mind, and without understanding why, he obeyed. He reached the door and called once, twice, nothing. He called louder, silence. That's when the feeling became even stronger. Coming. Now he tried the doorknob, but it was locked. Without thinking, he took a step back, took a deep breath, and broke down the door. He found Helen on the floor, unconscious, breathing weakly and with a pale face. He called the paramedics, who arrived minutes later. When they arrived at the hospital, the doctors were clear. If she had been found 2 minutes later, she wasn't here 2 minutes to, but for God. 2 minutes are an evolution of possibilities. He moves people, awakens hearts, and changes trajectories without people realizing it. Hours later, Helen woke up. Michael was sitting beside her. When she opened her eyes, the first thing she said was, "How long was I in there?" He held her hand and said, "Long enough for God to write another miracle in your life." Helen closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and with an emotional, inspired smile, "That was God's timing. He heard me. And maybe He's listening to you too. Maybe everything you've experienced so far, your pain, your waiting, your silent fears, is not a sign of abandonment, but rather of preparation. Because when God enters, He enters at the right time. Not before. Not after." If this story touched your heart, write in the comments. God is never late. And if you believe that He also takes care of you in moments of silence, leave an amen with faith. Someone needs to see your comment today.